All right, so I'm back. I'm gonna do another live interview today with Cara Greenwell, who's a local fighter here in Tulsa area, kind of near where I live. I live in Coweta, which is just outside of Tulsa. So I'll be bringing her on in just a moment. You have to turn your camera around. Cara, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Good, good. So I want to thank you for taking time to do this. I appreciate you giving your time and all. I kind of want to start out by asking you, like, if some people watch this may not be familiar with you, maybe you could kind of introduce yourself a little bit.
My name's Cara Greenwell. I don't have like a fight nickname or anything right now, but yeah, fight MMA. I'm 23, and I've been training for 6 years. That's about
Yeah,
it.
yeah. I noticed you have like probably about a dozen amateur fights already, approximately. But you haven't had a fight maybe in a couple of years, right?
Yeah.
You had the match with Taylor at Martial Combat League that I saw, but you haven't had like a fight in a couple of years.
Oh, it's been a while. Pretty
Now,
much
why
ever
did that
since
happen then?
COVID. I had left my gym, and right as I left, like COVID and everything hit, and everything was shut down for like a year, 2 years or something like that. And I had to we were just kind of in a bad spot, and I had to pick up two jobs, and I wasn't really training. And then I ended up finding a gym in Owasso, so me and my boyfriend relocated, moved to Owasso, and that's where we're training now. So much happier now, doing much better, and I'm ready to take a fight. I should be fighting here soon.
So you kind of already have maybe some possible agreements.
Yes, I'm looking at two different promotions right now, but hopefully it should be in August. I'll fight.
Now let's kind of talk about your background. Like, when did you kind of first find martial arts, so to speak?
um Well, growing up, it wasn't really like I didn't really know what fighting was. We didn't really talk about that very much. My mom did some karate. My dad did a little bit of boxing, but mostly street fights. And I didn't really, we couldn't really afford doing sports and stuff like that. So I never did any sports. I did gymnastics for like a month, but it was $60 a month, and my mom couldn't afford it. So for a long time, I thought I wanted to be a gymnast. And then by the time I was about 16, I had just I'd been through a lot, and I was been through a lot of trauma. I was really angry, um, and I wanted to fight, but ultimately I needed an outlet. So I started lifting weights in my room. I was living in the garage at the time, so I was just working out, lifting weights, and then as I started getting stronger, just kind of thought popped in my head like kind of want to fight someone. So I just was like YouTubing like how to box, and like Shane Faison I think was like a popular one. He was like teaching you how to shadow box, and so I would just get in front of my mirror and do like some movements and shadow box and stuff. And I was like, okay, well I'm looking pretty good. I think it looks pretty good. I think I actually want to box. And so I uh, brought it up to my mom and stuff, but they didn't have money for that. So she was like, ask your dad. If it's something you really want to do, we'll think about it. And so I was asking my dad, and he's like, well, if are you sure you want to do it? Everyone wasn't sure if I really wanted to do it or not. I'm like, yeah, I've been working out, I'm ready. Did more research, and I started looking at, is there any boxing gyms near me? And there wasn't any boxing gyms, but there was an MMA gym like down the street. And I was like, what is MMA? Like, I've never even heard of MMA. I just wanted to box. And they offered Muay Thai, Jiu Jitsu, boxing, and Taekwondo. And my brother had told me about Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. He's like, you should try that. That's actually pretty cool. It's like crazy grappling art, blah, blah, blah. So I was like, okay, I'll give this place a try. And finally, my dad went in there one day and talked to the instructors, and that was it. I started training, and I fell in love with it, and I'm here today.
Now, where did you grow up? Did you grow up in Tulsa?
No, I was born in Texas. We lived in Tulsa for a little bit, and then we moved to Broken Arrow, and then I kind of lived there pretty much for the rest of it till I
Yeah,
moved
I'm from
out.
Broken. You went to
Oh,
Broken
really?
Arrow High
Nice.
School?
I did.
Okay. So, what was the first gym you went to?
It was called Team Impact in Broken Arrow.
Hmm.
Yes.
Actually, I think they just opened a gym out here in Coweta
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
Highway 51.
There was two owners. They split. One of them owns Team Strike and Jinx, I believe, and then the other one has Team Impact.
Yeah, they just opened a place like on Highway 51 like a month ago, I think.
Yeah.
Because I live in
It's
Coweta,
pretty nice.
so I always see it there. Yeah. Um, so, how long were you at Impact for? That was when it was on Main Street, Rose District?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a good spot. I was there for 3 years.
Was that when Mikey was there at all, or was that after?
No,
Yeah, because Mikey Burnett was
I don't know.
teaching in there for a little bit. I think,
Okay.
what would say, like 2005, 2006 ish. He was teaching,
Okay.
and Todd Ryan was
I
there
think I heard of
as
that.
well.
Was it called Oklahoma Fight Club before
Yeah,
or
yeah,
something
yeah,
like
yeah,
that?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Exactly.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, precisely.
That was
So,
before. That was before me.
so you're trained there for 3 years. When did you start looking into taking your first fight?
It was about 6 months after I had been training. Um, I, when I walked in there, I told them I wanted to fight for sure. Um, I didn't know like how big it could get. I just thought, maybe some local shows would be fun. And then he was like, okay. My coach was Logan Cunningham at the time. He was like, well, you just start training, and then as soon as we feel like you're ready, we'll get you a fight. And it was about 6 months in, and then I took my first Muay Thai fight in Claremore at the VFW, and that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, what was that like? Fighting at the
That was
W.
nerve-wracking.
Uh-huh.
I'm kind of shy, so I was worried, and like I was really just worried about a whole crowd watching me. I was like, I could fight this chick in the backyard. I don't really care. It's just I was worried about everyone staring at me, so I was a little nervous, and my adrenaline was up really high. I don't even really remember the fight that much, but I won. It was a great fight. I think I won TKO in the second round. So
How big is
yes,
the VFW in Claremore?
not too big. I don't necessarily know like measurements of it,
Yeah,
but it's
I'm wondering what the
it's not
crowd
too
was like
big.
there. Was it like
It was maybe
veterans or
like
was it just people?
veterans, and well, it was connected to a bar, so there's like a lot of like like Harley Davidson type people out there, a lot of like motorcyclists, and like it was a good crowd. I mean, everybody got drunk about before the fights even started, so everyone's screaming, and I liked fighting for them out there.
Now, after that, like maybe you don't have to take me through every fight, but maybe kind of your overall impressions over these fights that you've had as you've kind of developed.
Sorry, say the question again.
Because I know you've had several fights. You don't have to take me through every one of them, but maybe like through all these experiences of all the fights you've had, kind of looking back on it and developing, what do you think you've kind of taken away from it so far?
Um, I think I think like in like each gym that I went to, I felt like I kind of learned something different but very important. Um, like my first gym at Logan's gym, he was a sergeant in the army, so I feel like he taught me a lot about like mindset and like um, just like being able to get in there and have a stronger mind and like just fight even though you're scared or nervous or whatever. And um, he like kind of gave me that fighter instinct. I feel like because I was able to just go out and fight some really tough opponents. And but whenever I kind of outgrew that gym, I went to another gym that was more striking based, and I kind of learned a little bit more like how to train better, I guess.
Mhm.
Just a lot more drilling, training harder, being more technical, and then like I learned a lot about striking. And then yeah, the gym that I'm at now is just kind of good at all three. It's like good striking, MMA, grappling. So I'm at the gym now. I think I'm learning most about kind of just being a smarter fighter in in the fight and building my fight IQ and not necessarily being the stronger or tougher fighter, but having a better strategy and going about it the right way. So I think that'll be a new phase of Cara.
Now, as you're going through this, what do you think you gravitated more toward, like striking or the ground, or maybe was it both?
Kind of both. I think I switch back and forth. I think if I lean towards more one, it would be striking because I like to punch. I like the like when I first started when I wanted to box, I feel like that was kind of my foundation a little bit, and I feel like I got more of a boxer in me, but I do like to grapple as well because I'm aggressive and I like to like slam or whatever. So that's kind of fun, but I like to strike.
Now let's kind of talk about your match with Taylor because I watched that. You were kind of on top for most of it, if I
Yeah,
remember correctly. Neither of you were really in any real danger necessarily.
yeah,
Kind of kind of
yeah,
take me through that match or what you remember of it.
yeah. Well, yeah, I was kind of on top the whole time. I felt like I had won it, and like you said, there wasn't really any real danger threats. But I was training in an MMA camp that I was supposed to fight um some other girl, I can't even remember her name, but uh that she ended up dropping out, and then last minute they were like, "Well, we can get you a jiu-jitsu match with this girl." So I kind of wasn't in the right. I had to kind of shift gears last minute and kind of focus on grappling instead. And she was a stud. She came out of Lovato's BJJ, and like I guess a lot of people were offered her, but they turned it down for two reasons. She's really good, and also she's really young. So it's like no one wants to go up there and get their ass beat by a 16-year-old. But I was like, whatever, I'll take it. But yeah, I was really focusing on what my coaches wanted to see out of me was getting good positions for MMA or like for ground and pound. So being on top, I was just kind of thinking like this right here is where I'd be writing down punches or whatever. And then she did a really good job of she was doing a thing called single leg X guard, and I struggled to get past that. And so that's where there was like a little bit of a struggle where there was like a we weren't really going anywhere with anything because I couldn't pass her guard, but I was staying on top, but nothing was really happening. But and then it ended, and they gave it to her. I don't really know why, but um, so yeah, we looked at the single leg X guard, and I trained that, and got better at it. I ended up competing at ADCC a few months later, and one of the people did the same thing on me, the single leg X, but we had trained it, so I did better at it. And I ended up winning, so that was fun.
Yeah, I think maybe she had got a sweep on you or something. Was that what it was that they? I'm trying to remember.
Well, it came to a point where I was kind of grabbing for her leg, and she was grabbing my leg, and she was reaching back for like some sort of like ankle lock, but it was nowhere near a lock whatsoever. But since she was going for a lock and I was not, they gave it to her because she
Hmm.
was trying for a submission, whereas I was not trying for a submission. But I kind of thought, maybe being on top would show as like I'm being more aggressive and whatever. But I don't know. The jiu-jitsu rules are a little bit different, and I don't know if I was ready for that. But it was fun, anyways. I had a lot of fun, and it was a good experience.
Now, the fight you were supposed to have, was it going to be amateur or pro?
It was going to be my pro debut. Yeah,
So that's kind of a bummer because you didn't get to turn pro at that time.
yeah, yeah. I was excited about that. Made a few posts. I was ready to sell some tickets, and then she dropped out last minute, so we had to find something else.
Now, what'd you think of competing in Martial Combat League?
Um, I like the show. I think that was like I think it's a newer show. Um, Somebody got hurt that night
Mm-hmm.
on the cage, but other than that, I don't know what happened with all that. But I mean, I liked it. It was a good promotion. I think they did good at like promoting the show, and it was a great venue, so it was good.
I think it might have been like a, I don't know what they were saying. There's like a part of the fencing, maybe like a,
Yeah, there was like a piece of metal or something
yeah.
sticking out, and then a guy was taking someone down, and on his way down, he scraped the metal, and it
Mm-hmm.
cut his head. It
Right.
was nasty.
Yeah, those like one of the worst cuts I've ever seen on a
Yeah,
human being.
which is crazy because my match was literally just a few matches right before that, and then I was like, what if that was me in my head? I've been mad,
Yeah. I
but
mean, so were they asking you to come back to do your pro debut in that show, or?
they did, but they didn't really find me any opponents, so wasn't really interested. Unless you find me someone.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of the hard part, right? Because even
Yeah,
it's still hard to find people for a lot of people. It's difficult.
yeah.
Do you know if anybody's making any headway on that as far as finding an opponent for you?
Um, they're not necessarily. I mean, I've myself and my mom like looked up a bunch of like girls that were pro my weight class. I actually found quite a bit. Some girls that like just had crazy backwards records or whatever. I'm like, even if I can't find an 0-0 chick first, for my debut, I wouldn't mind just taking a fight against someone with like 6 fights, but maybe they didn't win all of them. And but we found quite a bit. Two of them were in Texas. I was kind of interested in. I was looking at, so I I thought it might be kind of easy if I hit up a promotion and like I have some girls even to fight. I did the job for you. Just put me on and give me the girl.
So you're kind of doing it yourself, sort of.
A little bit, yeah. I don't have a manager right now, so I'm kind of just doing it myself.
What about your gym? Are they kind of like trying to assist you in finding fights, or is it just more they're telling you to kind of?
Yeah. My coaches right now is Jared McLaughlin and Ryan Hoover and Christian. So I mean, they're definitely like steering me in the right direction, giving me a lot of advice. I probably wouldn't have been able to do like all the research and everything I've done without their advice. So, and Jared's pretty smart, so he's kind of leading me in the right direction.
Yeah, Jared's kind of a character. What do you think about
Yeah,
what he's been
yeah.
doing?
I mean, I like it.
Because
I
you're
guess that's
shy
what.
and he's not.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Well, he's trying to help me out a little bit. He's like, you can't be, all shy and everything. So it's not what people want to see. But I'll try to show my best character. But um, he's cool. He's funny. He makes training interesting and fun. So
I don't think everybody has to be like Jared. There can be people that are quiet, but he's the polar opposite of you, at least from what it looks like online. What do you think about
yeah,
some of his antics?
I think they're kind of funny. He does a lot of it just so people will start looking at him or whatever. So it's a good idea. I mean, um, I struggle to do the same thing. I struggle to get people looking at me and like. But I think some of his stuff is funny. But
Maybe you could
yeah,
use him to make people like, you know, he could be
yeah,
your,
we've joked about that before. He's like, "Well, you don't have to talk. I'll do all the talking for you,
yeah,
and I'll
yeah.
just sit behind him quietly, flex, whatever."
Yeah, like the pro wrestling, the guy that walks out with the wrestler, who's kind of the loudmouth.
That's what he said.
Yeah,
And I
you
didn't
could
really
do that.
watch pro wrestling, but
Yeah, they had some characters that would come out that weren't wrestlers. They're just like manager of this person.
oh
And
right,
they'd
yeah.
usually be somebody that was doing something, obnoxious or whatever. So he could probably do that for you. What about Tracy? I mean, I see he's in here, and I know he does some of that too.
Oh, what's up, Tracy? Um, yeah, he's been training with us a little bit. He's a good wrestler. He sucks. I'm just kidding. Um, yeah, he's pretty good at it too, I guess.
Because Jared made his own belt, right?
Yeah, he did. He made it online or whatever, and it's kind of a nice belt. All my
So,
belts are real.
so he just like ordered it from somewhere.
Yeah, yeah, just had it made, I guess.
He said it was nice. Tracy said it's nice of you to put on a collared shirt for this interview.
I wore my best interview shirt, so yeah.
So what's it like training with Tracy and Jared? Like, kind of now that we're getting into the clinch part of it, what do you think about that what you've been gaining from training with them?
Tracy's a good wrestler, and I mean Jared is too, but so I like that because that's something I've always lacked in my game was wrestling. So I've learned a lot of wrestling techniques, and we've been training a lot of that. He's much bigger than me, but it's still good to go with them and stuff. Um, and they're both pretty smart, so they got some good advice to give about fighting, or even about like fights and management and stuff like that. So
Do you know if Jared's fight's going to come off? I know he was supposed to have one, but it's kind of
um,
stalled.
yeah, I think somebody backed out, but I'm pretty sure they found someone else. I think they've got it much bigger. Yeah, I think they got it figured out. I think he's gonna fight. I'm pretty sure because he said his manager was on it. So
And so between like Tracy and Jared, who's kind of the worst of the two when it comes to that stuff?
it comes to like
Their
fighting
antics.
or
The
their
antics.
antics.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, well, I've got to give it to Jared. He's kind of good at that, but Tracy's just right under him.
Why do you think Jared's good at that kind of stuff? Is just because he's kind of
He's just kind of loud, and that fits right into his personality. He's kind of cocky, and he loves to talk about himself, so it just works. It works out.
so he does it in the gym also.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, for sure.
So they're like trying to one up each other kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, actually, them two are they gang up on everybody else. I'm just kidding, but they're good friends. They make it fun because they're always back and forth with their antics, joking around. So
Now, I mean, we have shows here in the Tulsa area. Have any of them like reached out to you to put you on a card or?
yeah, I'm actually talking to two promotions, one in Muskogee and then XFN in Tulsa. So
So something probably will materialize out of those two then.
yes,
Okay.
yeah, for sure.
Now, when it comes to you, like if someone who hasn't seen you fight, what would you say kind of you would describe yourself as far as a competitor?
Um, I like to keep a high pace. Um, I kind of I would say I'm more of a brawler, but like I don't know. I want to say that's the old me. Since I've started, training at clinch, I've been thinking more about fighting smarter and having a better strategy whenever I go in the cage. But for sure, I'll definitely have that brawler instinct that will come out if I need it. Lots of talent. Oh, thank you. Anyways,
Yeah, that's Bristol Bernal's father. Um, so, are you watching a lot of like the UFC events or Bellator events? Are there any fighters that you kind of keep an eye on?
um, I like Jose Aldo and Volkanovski. I don't know really how to say his name, but Volk, that guy. Um, but as far as girls, I don't really watch that many girls. I should watch more fights, but I just sometimes just I run out of time and I'm busy doing my own stuff that I don't even watch the fights. But I like Jose Aldo.
So you don't really prefer to watch the fights and more just kind of train and compete?
Oh, I do for sure. Are you talking about like UFC fights or like?
Yeah, just fights in general.
Yeah, I mean, I never. really used to, but I'm trying to get better at doing that just for like studying and like building fight IQ, like looking at the top athletes and stuff, seeing what they're doing, and then try to apply it in my own training.
Now, what are some of the things like? Because obviously, I live around here. You live around here. What are some of the things you do, like in Tulsa or Broken Arrow or wherever, like that you like to
For
do?
fun.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, hmm. It's not really much to do out here. Uh, I really just I love hanging out with my family. I'm really close to my family, so um, usually we'll just hang out. I like to smoke weed, so yes. Um, and then yeah, that's kind of it. I don't really do very much. Just really, I train. I'm training all day, and I'm not training. I'm at work. I'm a server at Los Cabos, so that's what
Okay.
I do pretty much my whole weekend. And
In
then,
Broken Arrow?
no, in Owasso.
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, pretty good place. Los Cabos. Yeah,
Yeah,
pretty solid. Yeah. So, kind of as I wanted to ask you a little bit more. Maybe I should ask you before, but you were talking about Taylor, like people don't want to compete against her. Is it you said some of her age, but also reputation?
yeah,
Is it that other promotions are high on her as far as a competitor? Or?
yeah. And I think she's done a lot of like competitions, like AGF competitions. She was a wrestler in high school, and she's got some gold medals in both wrestling and jiu-jitsu, and did a lot of different I don't know if she's ever competed at worlds or anything like that, but I just know uh she's like kind of been booming a little bit. Everyone's talking about her. She's like an up and coming star in jiu-jitsu, but I don't know if she'll ever transition over to MMA. But
Now,
she was pretty big. I mean, she was my size, and she was only 16, so I imagine she'll only get bigger, hit a growth spurt.
right. Now, do you do more AGF stuff and things like that also, or no?
um I haven't done an AGF in a long time. I've just done like the grappling competition that you saw, MCL. I competed at ADCC, which was like a submission
Mm-hmm.
wrestling tournament, and I'd like to do another AGF, so it's a little bit more local, and but I gotta wait for the right time. I'm in between fights, and I don't want to take anything before a fight and accidentally get injured, and because ultimately fighting MMA is going to be my goal, so I need to focus on
Now,
that.
what was it like going to ADCC? You went to Vegas?
Yeah,
So what
yeah,
was that like? Tell me about that.
it was intense, but it was huge. There was like several different competitors. I mean, we were there all day, so we packed like some fruit and some water bottles and stuff like that. If you were supposed to compete like at least, I believe it's 2 days long, and then the first day you have like 2 to 3 matches, and then the second day you'll probably have like, I don't know, even more matches depending on if you go on to the finals. So like there's an opportunity I could have had like 7 matches or something altogether. But um, the first day I had 2 matches, and uh, I won them both, but on points. And and then that was the end of that day. And then we came back the second day, and I was going against I don't know her name, but some black belt, and she's kind of a beast. But went out there and went against her, and she couldn't submit me, but I definitely didn't win. So she was kind of on my back the whole time, and so that was fun. It's fun competing against like people who specialize only in grappling and jiu-jitsu, and a lot of them were like, you know, high level wrestlers and stuff. So it was kind of cool to test out, see where I leveled between all of them. Um, Considering like we just train. I I train jiu-jitsu maybe twice a week, wrestling twice a week, and then the rest is striking. And you know, I'm not training jiu-jitsu near as much as them, but it was fun. It was really fun.
Now, because it was the trials, was it that anybody could pretty much enter, or how did that work?
Yeah, it was anyone can enter, and then I guess whoever wins goes on to the next one, and then you can win like $70,000 or something like that.
Did you have to pay a fee or something to enter it?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah, you have to. It's like $60 or something.
Hmm. So there was probably like, I know there were a lot of people in some of the divisions. There was just tons of people.
Yeah, I was lucky. There wasn't too many in mine, but even by the end of the two matches, I was like tired and my muscles were hurting from squeezing and trying to get stuff. So I was like, I don't even know if I can go a third match right now. Like this is kind of crazy, but luckily I got to go home and rest and then try again the next day.
And so what was it like while you're, how many times have you been out in Vegas?
I've been out in Vegas one other time. I fought on Tough Enough, and that was about the only time. Not really interested in Vegas. There's not much for me to do out there because I don't gamble, and so it's not that fun. But I
Yeah,
mean,
it's
I
kind of
still like
weird.
walking
Like,
the street.
I've lived all over the place because I was in the military and stuff, and I've never been to Vegas.
Oh,
You
really?
know, I know all these people in the industry, but I've never been to Vegas, not one time. Maybe I should go, but I was wondering what it was like this last time you were there. Like, you just kind of stay at the wherever you're staying, then go compete and go back.
Yeah, we didn't have much time to walk around, but yeah,
But it's not
that was
really
it.
necessarily that big a place, right? You could kind of walk around the strip and stuff, but not necessarily need to drive around, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, our hotel was uh really close to the whole competition, anyways. So yeah.
Who did you go up there with? I know Jared was there too, right?
Yes, Jared, Ryan, and Christian Durr, and Dane Leak. He's a jiu-jitsu competitor from our gym.
Yeah, and I know Hunter, got to the finals. He lost to Jay Rodriguez. Did
Yeah,
you stick around for that, or
yeah, yeah. We were watching that.
what did you
That
think
was
of
cool.
that?
It was like a concert.
What did you think of that match?
I thought it was really cool. I mean, I liked watching all of them. You know, doing their doing their thing. But it was a good match. I think he ended up getting tapped by like a buggy choke or something
Hmm.
like that, which was pretty crazy because it looked like he was going to get out of it and he stood all the way up, but then I think he was going to slam him, but I think he started going out or something, so he just tapped.
Yeah, it seems like Jay Rodriguez kind of blew up in that particular event. Kind of, he kind of came out of nowhere a little bit. You know, you know what I mean. His brother has a big reputation, but I
Mm.
think that event kind of propelled him. Now he's doing some other events while waiting for Abu Dhabi, but that kind of catapulted him a little bit because of how well he did. What'd you
Yeah, I
think of
wasn't
like?
really familiar with
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
No, no. I was wondering because he's interesting because he's such a good wrestler, just like his brother. They've kind of combined the wrestling and jujitsu. Seeing him, he's a little bit different than most of the people that were competing that day, in his style, where he's hitting a lot of like duck unders and getting the back, kind of a wrestling scrambling style. Like, what did you think of that?
Um, I liked it that I'm not really familiar with who that guy, who he was, the Rodriguez guy.
Yeah, yeah,
Is
yeah,
that what
yeah.
we're talking about?
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah. But I did like that. I did. I feel like there's kind of a newer, not necessarily style, but I feel like they're kind of adapting wrestling into jujitsu more now, and it's evolving for sure. So it's gonna just makes it more deadly, I guess.
Yeah, I think those two guys in particular are pretty interesting. They both wrestle in New Jersey. They're from there, and but they've been training a long time. Obviously with John Danaher, and then their team kind of split up. And they went with Craig Jones, and Gordon Ryan went over here. But they're really good at jiu-jitsu, but kind of use it more in a wrestling attacking style.
Yeah,
So it's kind of unique. But that's
that's kind of what we're looking at a lot in a lot of our wrestling classes that we do at clinch or like even in jiu-jitsu because it just translates well in MMA for like ground and pound or just getting positions on top for control rather than like playing off your back and being like jiu-jitsu-y, but um, just works out better for MMA.
yeah. Now I wanted to ask you. We had that incident yesterday. Like, what'd you think of that? At the hospital and all that.
Oh, yeah, that's pretty crazy. I actually know some people that work at the hospital, but luckily they were all okay. Um, but yeah, it's really sad. It's scary. That's happening just more and more, and even closer to home. I believe there was another one in Muskogee, like on Memorial Day. I think like 18 people were shot or something
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, which that is surprising because I think it was at a Veterans Day event, and I would have figured most of the veterans would have a gun on them or something. So I didn't really hear any information about that. I was wondering about it, but uh, it's sad for sure. I mean, there's a lot of controversy going on about gun control and everything now, but you never know. Can't really. There's really no one deciding factor that could fix it. I feel like.
Yeah, it's getting kind of. It's almost like where you go anywhere in public, you're kind of like looking around these days.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I know. I'm like I should take some gun classes instead of MMA classes because I don't even know. That MMA is not going to protect me if someone has a gun. That's kind of scary. So
Yeah, I think maybe just being aware. It might be, there's only so much you can do. It's just like any job, right? You're at your job, I'm at my job. It's you're just gonna have to do what you can do. Whether that
yeah,
means haul ass out of there, or if you're gonna try to combat the person, you know, you can't take a firearm to work anyway. It's just stuff is crazy. And you would think hospitals, because there's a lot of wacky people at hospitals anyway. A lot
yeah,
of people go off there. You would think that there would have been some protective measures in place, but it doesn't seem like that.
yeah. Well, isn't it? I don't know if there's probably only like one security guard around the hospital. Maybe I'm not sure, but it's kind
Yeah,
of
that's
scary.
St. Francis is big, so you would think they would have like, maybe a team of people. But even then,
Right.
you know, hospitals, that, like I said, they have a lot of crazy people in there anyway, you know? So you would think that there would be some sort of, I don't know, like, I have no idea, but some sort of protective measures in place to protect those people because they deal with that kind
Yeah.
of, not necessarily people with guns, but just crazy people in general a lot. But, yeah, it's a crazy situation.
Yeah. And I believe that's what happened. The shooter was a patient there who had
Yeah.
surgery done on his back, and then he just can't. I'm like, what's the point in having surgery on your back if you're just gonna go back and kill everyone and then kill yourself? Just a weird situation.
I think he wasn't getting stuff to alleviate his pain. He had a
He was
note on him.
angry about that.
Yeah, yeah, he had a note kind of explaining, what the deal was. He was there for that
Wow.
reason. Yeah, he had surgery, I think, May 24th. I think that's when he finished. And I guess he wasn't getting whatever he needed, whatever that might have been, pills or whatever. And yeah, he had a note on him explaining, okay, I came here because of blah, blah, blah. You know, I was here to do this and that. Yeah, just a crazy situation. So, in Tulsa, we don't have, obviously, we have a lot of homicides, but we don't have stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of a downer for sure, you know. But yeah, it's interesting to talk to you about that as someone who's from the area, you know.
Yeah.
Well, as we're kind of winding down the interview, I wanted to ask you like where people could kind of follow you, and also if there's anything maybe that you want to leave the interview on or something that you think is important or.
Right now I only have Facebook and Instagram. Um, I'm hoping maybe I can get a TikTok or something going soon, but yeah, just Facebook and Instagram. Uh, on Facebook, my name is Cara Ann G, and then on Instagram it's Cara Greenwell MMA. Um, but yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm excited to fight again soon. I feel like it's gonna be a whole new me out there, and I think it'll. I'm an exciting fighter, so I feel like a lot of people will be interested to see what I have to what I have to show.
How far are you willing to travel as far as states wise to get a fight?
I've been to New England, or maybe it's called. I have another name for it, but New England.
So you're
Flew all
basically
the way
willing to
there.
travel anywhere then?
Yeah, as an amateur, but I was, as a pro, I'm kind of hoping to fight a little locally first, and then, move up. Then I don't mind traveling once I
Maybe
have
like
more money.
maybe like Oklahoma, Texas, Missouri, Arkansas, perhaps.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because I know some people, so maybe I could reach out. I know a lot of promoters, matchmakers. Um, I just got a guy a fight the other day, so yeah, maybe I could look up something for you, perhaps. She's asking, do you do private or Showboat, which is Brissa Bernal's father? Brissa's a wrestling
Oh,
champion here, and
private sessions.
um,
Um, Not at the moment. I'm kind of tied up with training and working, but I do plan on eventually just quitting my job, and especially once I can go pro and start making money as a professional. I do want to start doing private sessions and working with people because I've had a lot of people ask me that, and I've learned a lot. So I would love to teach and start that path.
he probably wants you to roll with his daughter. That's all.
Oh, I could do that.
Do you know who his daughter is?
Uh-uh.
His daughter's a really outstanding wrestler here in Oklahoma. She's about 15 years old. I forgot what weight she is. Not real big. And yeah, she won the OK USA folk style at the fairgrounds. Maybe that was in January, I believe. She won that. Now she's trying to win the freestyle. So she's
All right.
she doesn't go to, she's homeschooled, so she's not part of the school team.
I was homeschooled for a little bit.
Yeah, so she does some training with different people, but he probably wants you to train with his daughter, I would think. Am I right
What's her
about
name?
that? 115.
115.
Yeah.
That's me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's really cool.
yeah, so maybe he wants you to roll with his daughter some because he takes her.
Set that up.
Yeah. So we'll see if we can get that done offline or something. But I appreciate you taking the time, and like I said, maybe I can talk to somebody for you, perhaps. Like I said, I know a lot of people, so because I live in Japan, I lived in Hawaii, I've been kind of around for a long time, and
Wow.
yeah, so I think maybe I could talk to some people. Plus, the guys I did, I don't know if you saw, I was putting like this conspiracy hour show on my thing. Both of those guys are involved in events. Those are both promoters that do the show with me here in
Oh,
the
nice.
Midwest. So, yeah, maybe I could reach out to somebody, or they would know somebody. So, see if that's
Okay.
right. Yeah, I'll let you know.
Well, thank you for having me.
Yeah, I appreciate you taking the time, and it was great talking to you. And I'd love to have you back on, maybe with Jared or Tracy or something. It'd probably be pretty funny.
Okay. Yeah, that would be a good idea.
All
You'd
right.
probably
Well,
get a little bit more out of me.
all right. Well, it was great talking to you. I appreciate talking to you, and take care.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
I don't know how to turn this off.